Alright, everybody, I'm gonna cut to the chase because I've got a big fucking job to do this time, and that is hooking up all the stats for all the different guns, all the different gains, all the gains. I'm gonna get all the gains, and people are gonna be able to take my gains. So anyway, got a little distracted by that. Uh, I think I found a bug because check this shit out right here. It goes access none from branch, right? This branch accessed none from an is valid node. And the other type of is valid node is the same thing. Like it does the same bug. Something's wrong when an is valid node is giving like a none. Either it is or it isn't valid. So maybe I need to report this cuz that's a little weird. Besides that, that bug doesn't really stop anything. It just bothers me because bugs like this actually cause blueprints to slow down a lot. There's like a huge performance hit, and you'll actually like visually see the frame rate drop whenever this bug does appear, and it seems to spam itself fairly often. I'm not sure exactly when it happens, but so run around, fire my gun. You can't hear it. It's loud on my side though. Oh yeah, listen to that. Alright. Okay. And then I get a whole bunch of warnings. It's accessing none. The branch is accessing none from is valid. Someone help. Somebody help with this. This is above me. This is bigger than all of us. It's so big of so fucking huge. It's so fucking huge. So that said, what I need to be getting to right now, and not getting stupidly distracted by stupid shit, is this. Okay, so inventory index is being hooked up. Is already hooked up. That's hooked up over here. Get the weapon. The weapon model. A lot of this stuff actually won't happen when you pull the trigger. Like, is not relevant for when you pull the trigger. The fire sound is already there, but it's not being pointed. Boom, fire sound. Brar. Brar. I should probably ask questions like, is it a shaft or is it melee, like, sooner? Because that really determines just about everything, doesn't it? First thing I'm going to work on is the um, input action fire loop, where it releases its state when you release the mouse button. And that cannot be a function, it has to be a macro, because you can't do delays. And I have to depend on the rate of fire delay to determine how many times it sends out a heartbeat to say you should be firing a weapon right now. Okay. Getting started. Blah. I'm trying to think. Do I need to make? I definitely actually feel like this needs to be on the server, but I mean that means that pulling the trigger, if you have a ping, it's just going to be delayed. Well, it might not be optimal for client server architecture, but if I don't put this on the server, then people can hack the rate of fire and make the gunfire really quickly. So I'm going to go through the extra trouble of having two um, RPCs that just for when you pull the trigger down and when you release. Seems like a waste, but makes sense. Okay, this looks ridiculous, but it's probably the way to go. But one thing I want to do real quick first before going to the next thing, which will be to check if you have enough ammo on the weapon. And when you when you equip the weapon, I need to change this skeletal mesh to whatever is inside of the so like whatever equipped weapon has for its skeletal mesh. So I'm going to make a quick function. I'm going to make a function for switch to equipped weapon is not the best name. It's not the best name for this. It's not the best. Singing. Okay, then I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna put that there. Alright, okay, so, well, I said it. Yeah, this will give me the reference that I need. Skeletal mesh. Yeah. Actually, I need to do a, is valid. Is valid. Right? If it's valid, then I figure out what. Oh yeah, all right. There's no need for me to be. This should be sped up. So I needed to make sure that this is a multicast for the weapon switch model, so that everybody can see when you switch your weapons. So like what gun you're currently holding. This is kind of a lame way to do it. This function will actually have to be a lot more complicated, provided you actually have player models that aren't cylinders. But yeah, it works for now. Uh, it works well enough to be a good example for this. This is what it looks like when you're in game now. So whenever I switch in, pow. Why does it still say I'm spectating? Alright. A lot of time has gone by since the last portion of the video. I got distracted by the Bernie Sanders debate. That's kind of what I thought it was. Anyway, there's no bias. There's no bias. No bias. Uh, the reason why the impulse thingy was not working correctly and making it so that I was stuck in spectator mode is because the impulse was calling a it was calling a multicast at a bad time, I guess. So I give it a 0.2 second delay when you spawn. Uh, your weapon is given to you zero point 0.2 seconds after you're spawned, and that seems to make the problem go away. It seems totally unrelated to me. Uh, it seems totally unrelated, but for some reason that's why the HUD wasn't coming up. So, with that said, I've got a flowchart here. Now I'm recapping, mainly because I was distracted, but I'm also kind of noticing something too, that just watching the previous videos, I treat these videos a little too much like a let's play, and it's not very useful information when I provide incorrect or mistakes, providing like incorrect things or any kind of mistake or something like that. I mean, in a let's play, I can be like PewDiePie and be like, you know, blah, you know, whatever. But when I'm doing these kinds of videos, it's completely worthless. It's also I'm too busy being technical to actually like say something fucking funny because there's no humor. There's no humor in a technical world. All right, if we're all machines, then nobody can laugh, except for a machine that was programmed to laugh. So I kind of think actually doing recaps after I do things is maybe makes more sense anyway. So you don't see like stuff that doesn't work, like this shit right here. This right here. I don't know. Somebody say something. Say something. Somebody. Maybe I need to be streaming. If I was streaming, I could just be like, chat, what the hell is this? What the hell am I thinking? Is this really it? Is this what I've become? Look at it. It's 4 RPCs. Well, 2 RPCs. 4 nodes. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to put that out of my mind. They all run on the server because all this stuff needs to run on the server. Otherwise, players can just like make the rate of fire as 0.01 and turn a single barrel into a railgun. So here's the flow of the entire firing process. It's not fully fleshed out yet, but this is the basic gist of it. It starts off as a gate. The first thing that happens is I open the gate up, and then the second thing I do is I send a node that goes enter. So left mouse button down, I open the gate and fire it off. The gate then fires another sequence, which then the first thing it does is send off a heartbeat. I'm calling it a heartbeat because for the weapon fire duration, every single pulse or a heartbeat like goes off and does instructions, and it figures out everything about what it is every single time the rate of fire delay reaches 0. Which I might have to actually add another thing in here. Oh no, actually no, it's totally fine. I'm making it more complicated for no reason. So this right here then fires off a loop, right? This loop goes all the way back and re-enters and does the whole thing all over again based on the rate of fire. That's all this does. Okay? Now this is just important because there's no other way to really detect if I'm still holding the mouse button down. All we know is that I haven't let go of the left mouse button, which end fire closes this gate. And once this gate is closed, this looping immediately stops. Alright? And it doesn't register another heartbeat anymore from that point on. So the next thing I have to do is I determine whether or not the weapon is melee. Now right now this looks like a whole entire thing, but really it's just well, it's like it looks like a whole entire thing just for this one really simple little boolean that I could have probably just had sitting out. The thing is that these things usually tend to become more and more complicated, and I might have like other stuff happen, depending on whether or not it's melee. But the purpose of this is just to determine whether it is or isn't a melee weapon. So the weapon is melee, and I can perform a melee attack. A melee attack is going to be a special type of projectile, or it's just actually it might even be a projectile per se. It's just going to be something that spawns right in front of me, a little like sphere, a radius, that just spawns instantly in front of me. When I do my weapon swing animation or whatever, I probably won't even have an animation, but it just spawns a circle in front of me that whatever it's touching, not including myself, gets hit by the melee weapon. And then I might also do like a simple line trace within a small range so that I can like do like a hit effect, like sparks because the axe hit the wall. And there you go. Alright, this doesn't exist yet. That explains why it is empty and not made of magic and hamburgers and yeah. And unicorns. Okay, so no unicorns. Weapon ammo check. So we've determined at this point here that it is not a melee weapon, right? Which is like all of the other guns. I have to determine whether or not you have enough ammo, and yeah, I have to determine whether or not you have enough ammo. And then while I'm at it, since I have all of this stuff opened up and I'm already running a for each loop on my ammo inventory, and then I'm already checking all this other stuff. If it turns out that you do have enough ammo, so it's like ammo cost starts here, ammo check input, grab your inventory for each loop, which means it goes through each of the different satchels that you have. And the first thing it does is it detects whether or not it's the same class as the ammo type of the gun, right? If they match, then this ends up being true. Then I do a check to see if the ammo in that particular satchel is greater than or equal to the ammo cost for the gun, right? So once I have that in place, then it goes to the next thing where I just created, this is kind of messy, because if this was a function, I wouldn't have had to create a boolean that's just going to be like hanging out over here like, yo dog, I'm a boolean, not even sitting in like a thing. It's a little messier. It's like a utility boolean, but it's going to be used specifically just for weapon check status. If weapon check status is true, because you have enough ammo, then I modify your ammo. And basically I go the ammo cost, which is a positive number, so you can type like 3 shotgun shells. I have like a triple barrel shotgun, and I'm firing triple blah. I could have just said double barrel. I don't know what the fuck, I went straight for triple. But how about an 8 barrel shotgun? Like it fires and blows up the whole like area. It just kills everybody. It starts off, I have to multiply it by -1, which makes this, you know, the octo shotgun an -8, and then I feed that right into modify ammo, so now it's negative. It's a negative number automatically. So when you're typing the ammo costs, you don't have to be like -8. It does it behind the scenes. I think that's just a better way to do it. So if it turns out that you don't have enough ammo, then weapon check status turns out to be is forced to be false. I don't bother to do anything with ammo. And also notice too that like melee weapons, of course, don't use ammo. That's just the default thing, and then that's what you're looking at. So when this for each loop is completed, I check the status of weapon check status. Checking the status of the weapon check status, and I'm singing badly. Ammo check passed, ammo check failed. Right, comes out here. Okay, if ammo check failed, I haven't fleshed this out yet, but it's going to be another function that just plays a sound of dry fire. right? I'm a firm believer that in Quake games, weapons should never auto switch. Like the So it'll just sit there dry firing. You're a noob. Stop making so much noise. And if I'm gonna put like a fucking dot on the mini map, yeah, I'm actually planning on adding one. I'm gonna put a dot on the mini map that says noob every time you dry fire your weapon. That actually that makes me funny. Like that just makes me want to laugh. Like it's like in my soul. So weapon. All right. Now I'm just like rushing ahead. Soul jokes with Castle. Quake soul jokes. Um. Okay. Weapon is shaft. Why did he name it shaft? It's always shaft. And it's not just like it's not like, oh, I just named it shaft by accident. It says in the game you accept it as shaft. Like there was no mistakes to the innuendo, and here I am, fucking damn near 20 fucking years later, acting like it's normal. Okay, yeah, it's shaft, whatever. This is a kid's show. Ugh. Okay, I determine here if the weapon is shaft, then shaft will just be simple line traces every frame. Well, not every frame. That'd be the most ridiculous fucking shaft ever. You just instantly, somebody just instantly explodes. Okay, but at the rate of fire will be really high, and it'll just do simple line trace within a certain range. And that's that. Alright, and simple line traces actually seem to be really nice in this tech compared to whatever the shit I'm trying to deal with when it comes to trying to make projectiles not suck. Because I want this to be the definitive fucking. This is how you make a goddamn gun for an FPS and blueprints with projectiles. Alright, because not everything can be. Like, I don't want a rocket exploding in my face because I was running forward. I need to figure this out. This is a pain in the ass. Anyway, I don't want rockets spawning 5 feet in front of my face. Well, like a meter in front of me. I want the rocket like starting right here, like and just like and just go straight forward. So this is as good as I've got right now. Basically, I get the projectile type. And spawn actor class, right? I'm the instigator. I'm the one who made this shit happen. Alright? I say always spawn, ignore collisions. The reason for that is because it's spawning a meter in front of me or inside of me, and I don't really have a choice. Create projectile goes in through. I know the projectile class, which in this case is going to be shotgun pellet, right? Now there's additional functionality that needs to be input for like how many pellets are fired, and let's see, what is it? Number of projectiles, the projectile spread. I think that's actually the only two major ones right there. Okay, so I said okay, so it gets your location, adds it to the relative location, which is the gunfire start, which is this guy sitting all the way in fucking outer space, like a million feet away from my character. Otherwise, I'll collide with my own projectile. It's much better, I guess, to make it like spawn in a wall. I might actually combine like a simple line trace to figure out exactly where to spawn the projectile, which could be a pretty good compromise. And it grabs your get control rotation. Control rotation is completely client side, but it determines like which direction you're actually facing. And I add those two things. My location and my rotate vector are are added together. I guess that's like to determine whether or not the object is sitting off of my origin, and it fires the weapon from that location at this rotation, spawn the projectile or spawn transform, and I go weapon fired, which will then the weapon fired thingy will go to a sound that gets played, ejecting brass, any of those other things that I decided to do. It's all very easily hooked up, and this should look really clean to most people, aside from this shit right here. It's really simple layout. I found that it just looks nicer when you do it this way. I could have done it with functions, but when it comes to functions, macros are really nice because a macro can fail within itself and not continue forward. Functions actually have to work with variables because a function will just keep going. Like you don't actually have to hit an output. Once you can have like a whole bunch of stuff happen, and that'll just go to the next thing. Okay. So you got a pretty good idea where things are right now. I have the weapon model. Yeah. And if I hold down the button, you can kind of see it. Yeah. Alright. It's every second. Boom. 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 Mega health spawning made like really crazy gun sound. I don't have any sound effects for this hooked up yet. Okay, so the projectile spread and a whole slew of additional like tweaks and changes need to happen. Alright, so you're watching Castle Does, and this is what I have so far. I'm getting very close to something that I can release, and I want to see what you guys can like pick through this and like tell me what could be done better, because I want to know how to make something like this. Like, I want to make the definitive version of this. This is like the most boiled down FPS that's playable. I want to see like the most optimized and best way and blueprints to make this kind of game. And really, and nail it too. So I want to definitely see feedback when I release this blueprint. And of course, once it's released, you can totally use this however you want. You want to make a Quake shooter, have at it. You're watching Castle Does, and stay tuned for more. Take care and good night. Shit, I stayed up too late.